Welcome to National News. I'm your host, Hilo Johnson, and this is News Night. Big things happening in Socialistan with elections just around the corner. Starting off with the surprising last-minute change of the leadership in the Socialist Party. Brandt is now stepping up as leader of the Socialists. Speaking of last minute, the last-minute coalition between the Liberal and the Conservative Party took everyone by surprise, kind of party merging together to form the coalition called the Alliance. I don't know if they're calling themselves the Allies yet, but if they start calling other people Axis, then we got an issue here. Confusion all around for the coalition, mainly from their own party, but others are also confused about what their policies are. With elections just around the corner on Friday, I decided to interview both candidates to see what their policies and things were, just in case everyone was unclear, because everyone was unclear. There is more confusion here than there are Twitter accounts for both the parties and people combined, which, by the way, are a lot.
My first question was, what are your main or campaigning policies for the election? To which Audrey responded, we want to guarantee at least some healthcare and education for all, as well as help people power more important hexes that provide units. We are planning on having 25% of business/residential hexes owned by government, meaning that 75% would be privately owned. Also, our tax rate is 10%.
Not sure what they consider important hexes, considering arts and entertainment and other various hexes also produce units, so by that logic, almost everything's powered except the residential units, which they said the government's going to own, which means the only thing that they're really leaving alone are the trees. So, the Alliance hates trees, is what we're learning here today. You heard it here first.
Brandt answered, food for everyone. No one must die from hunger. I feel the apartments must also be government-owned to provide households for an affordable price to the public.
If I interpret this correctly, it means the Socialist Party will be owning both residential and food hexes, meaning that everything else is just free to the public and just take it. So the necessities of life are taken care of, however, anything else is fair game.
When asked about the coalition, Audrey replied, I think it definitely will. I know there are concerns about possible leadership between myself and Johnny, which may deter voters, but the Alliance is a strong unit with good balance of values that should satisfy the majority of Socialistan.
Some definite confusion around the merger. Sounds like there's some leadership discrepancies between Johnny and Audrey. Don't know if that's going to be an issue, but that didn't, however, stop them from making yet another Twitter account, bringing their party up to about 3, including a newspaper, a gossip columnist, and a propaganda machine. Albeit a very bad propaganda machine, because they don't really know what they're making propaganda for, apparently, making it conservative and having really nothing to do with any of the country at all. I decided I'd ask the other party member what they thought of the merger, and they said,
we will have to work harder with the coalition. They have much more supporters, and we must convince their supporters, with us we will not leave them to be left in the dark.
Since it was a little vague, I decided to ask him why he put supporters in quotation marks, and this is what he said.
You can't guarantee someone being loyal to a party. They also may be on the fence, but deciding to go with the majority.
Apparently he thinks that all the voters are just mindless sheep who will wander around and go with the flow of the majority rather than thinking out for themselves. Not sure if that's what he was actually saying, however, but that's what it sounded like, so I'm going with it.
Finally, if you're elected, what do you plan on doing the first day into office? Which Audrey replied, well, Monday would be the hex auction, I believe, so our primary focus will be establishing the grounds to accomplish what we've stated. Here, a 3-to-1 ratio of private to public business residential hexes. We want to not work above, but work with the people of Socialistan. Brandt said, organizing money to purchase, then farms on the day of the hex election to provide for the citizens what I have promised.
You'll notice that my responses for the Socialist Party are a little bit shorter than the ones for the merger. The reasoning for this being, the merger just gave me a lot more details to work with. Honestly, all the Socialist answers are vague, and I have no idea what they're talking about half the time, so great. So whenever government gets voted in, the auction's going to be a hectic time, so pick wisely. That's usually does some news from Socialistan. Tune in tomorrow to see the results of the elections and, well, how it really went, along with hopefully footage from debates and maybe interviews with both party leaders and video afterwards. Hopefully that's being a little adventurous. Thank you and good night.